All right, so I mentioned on a previous video with the Wi-Fi extender that I had procured a box of stuff. This is small electronic stuff, this is laptops, and there was even another little thing or two that we'll discuss near the end of this. But I just kind of wanted to go through this. We're not going to explore everything that was in the box. We'll kind of take a look and browse through this. There will be some videos on some of these things if I can get some of them to work. If there's enough in here to try to like save one from another one, or whatever the case may be. So the main purpose of this will be not to go through in depth with all these, but it will just be to go through and just kind of list what these are now, but there might be separate videos on some of these later if we can salvage parts of one to fix another. The main focus is going to be seeing if we can salvage any of the pictures or anything important to give back to Karen, my sister's neighbor, because most of this stuff came from her or family or what have you. So trying to make sure that we go through and salvage or save as much of that information as we can. If it's something we have to dispose of, that we destroy the information or destroy the drive that it's on, and that it doesn't fall into somebody else's hands. So we're not going to do an in-depth on all of these, but I'm just going to kind of show you what was in the box and what we've gone through so far. One of the first things we went through, Amazon Kindle. It's it's just an e-reader. It will charge. There was a charger that came in here that charged a couple of these things, but it will charge, but the unfortunate thing is it only lasts about a day. And when, I don't know if you can see that or how well you can see that screen, when it is empty or when the charge is empty, it comes up with this sort of default screen. It takes a very, very trickle charge or a small amount of charge to give it a display screen. And then when it's actually functioning and working, it pulls more power. So all of these need to be cleaned up a little bit, but unfortunately the Kindle, it does charge, but it only lasts for about a day, day and a half. One of the things we did find that lasted a little bit longer, we got a Nexus 7 that looks like from Google. It's an Asus product. Asus made it. It did, let me see if it comes up real quick here. It's been on its charge for about 6 days now, and it's holding at right about half. I haven't done anything except for just go ahead and charge it and just see how long it will last. And under no usage whatsoever, it's still lasting pretty well. So I have to say that Asus made a pretty decent product here. It's just a little Google tablet, has the Google Play Store and stuff like that, and some basic stuff. It's a little bit older. I don't remember, it's probably 5 or 6 years old. It runs off of, I believe it runs off Android 5 or 5.1 or something. It's not going to be the fastest, but you know what? For basic stuff, and I might, if I need to repurpose this, I might be able to use this when I'm streaming, and I can put my chat room on here and kind of see what's going on while I use other stuff through OBS on my computer screen. So I've got a couple of different screens, but sometimes those are full and I have to swap back and forth, and I might be able to just use this as an extra screen just for the chat itself. One of the things that did not work, and I was a little bit sad, this is a Lenovo Yoga tablet. It's, I believe, an 8-inch tablet. It has a couple of cool features, like its own stand and all that stuff. But when I went to go try to charge it up, at first it gave me the start screen, like the start flash screen, and then it went dead. And I haven't been able to charge it. I haven't been able to do anything with it. I might see, doesn't look like there's any way I can open this up. Doesn't stop me from trying. I might indeed try, but I've tried a couple of different things, and unfortunately this one is just a no-go. It is also from about the same time period. It's 5 or 6 years old, 4 or 5 years old. They retailed for a decent price. I think this was under $200 when it came out, and there was moderate reviews on it, but unfortunately it just didn't work out. There's a Bluetooth keyboard in here. I don't know quite how this is going to charge. And it does not seem to actually fit with any of the products that I have. None of them fit in here, so it was just a keyboard that was left over. The click on it is pretty good. I'm a little bit disappointed that I don't get it tested out, but maybe I will if I can figure out where the charge port is on it. That might be it right there. But it's a lot smaller. It's smaller than a Type-C and smaller than that charge. So I'll have to see what's going on. Getting to the laptops, this was the surprise out of the bunch. It's an HP, just a 14-inch from a couple years ago, I think 2019, 2020, and it actually has an Athlon 3050 3050U in it, 3050U. It's a 2-core, 2-thread. It's got 2 graphics cores on it. It does boot up. It's pretty responsive. It has 4 gig of DDR4 memory. I was surprised how quickly and how long it's held to charge. I charged it a couple times just to play around with it. I did try to do a video or start filming a video on this because it was inspired by another Athlon processor that's out there in the wild by another YouTube channel. I will talk more about that a little bit later. But yeah, this did okay. I can't complain too much about this. Am I going to use this for anything major? No. Let's see if it comes up here. There we go. Took it a second to boot up. It booted up this time a little bit slower than normal, and I think that's because I installed a couple of things on it that might make it take a little bit longer. It's got an SSD in it. I haven't looked to see any other particulars or if it's easy enough to change the memory or anything, but I believe it's got a 256 gig SSD. It's got 4 gig of DDR4 memory, and we'll see what it can do. But I will tell you, those experiments that I tried, we'll see. Anyway, the HP 14-inch with the Athlon G in it, or the Athlon 3000 or 3050U, not bad. One of the other things we had was a small Lenovo. It looks to be a 13-inch. This one, I believe, was the Lenovo 700, Yoga 700, and no way to charge it. It looks in pretty decent shape, although it has taken a pretty big hit right here on the corner. It's got a Core M3 Intel processor, and I can only think that that means that it's probably 4-core, 4-thread. So I will take a look if I can get around to getting a charger. It takes one of those USB power things, 24-volt USB power, and I don't have one of those around here. I had no reason to have one. It does look like it's seen better days, but at this time, at one point, this was on sale at Best Buy. I don't know if you can see that, for like $400. So I'm interested in charging this up and taking another look at it to see what's going on. This is one of the ones, this is the MacBook that she wants to keep. This one says it's from circa 2010. I don't know for sure because I haven't actually been able to get into it. When I do try to charge it and turn it on, it does seem to hold a charge, but when I turn it on, I get the flashing question mark file folder thing, which means that it doesn't have a boot drive that's trying to work from. So I will, in turn, have to open it up and see if I can't get in there and either install a boot drive or see if that boot drive is not connected correctly. I don't know, being from older, 2010 it says, it's still got, wow, it's still got a 1394 port on here. Being from a little bit older time, this might have a regular hard drive, HDD in it, instead of an SSD. So that might be a failure there. We'll have to see. Moving on to the larger ones. We got a Toshiba that I cannot charge and cannot figure out. This one's a 17-inch. This one is, what did I find out? Oh, an M35X, and it says it has Windows XP Home Edition on it. So that in itself is pretty interesting. This at the time, I believe, said it had 256 meg of memory, 256 meg, not gig, meg, and a 60 gig hard drive. So it tells you how old this puppy is. Huge. And I don't have any way of charging this up, but it is a monster. And I have a feeling it'll be interesting to play in here. It looks like it was a really, really good computer for its time, that Toshiba. And so we're gonna set that off to the side because that is a monster. Next one, I think it was a 15-inch HP. Also, well, this one had Windows 8 originally, but when I went ahead and charged it up, it is taking a charge, but this thing has been beat up. The hinges are busted, there's some other stuff going on, the case is a little bit cracked. This one had a 4-core, 4-thread Pentium processor in it, and all these need to be cleaned up a little bit. It does have an Ethernet jack, so I'll be able to connect it straight in. The one thing about that, I forgot to mention about the HP here. This one, no Ethernet, Wi-Fi only. So that I thought was a little bit interesting, but for an Ultra Slim, I get it. This, however, is not an Ultra Slim. It is a bigger, heavier, and yeah, so we'll have to take a look at this. 4-core, 4-thread. I believe this one had 4 gig. Yep, 4 gig of DDR3 memory, running at 1600 if I remember correctly. I did not check to see what size the hard drive was, but I'd almost guarantee this is a hard drive and not an SSD in here as well. And then finally, when we did have a small problem with trying to get charge up. And the reason why we had a problem trying to get it to charge up is because This is the battery that came out of said animal. It is, yeah. So if I try to do that, we're going to have to get a different battery. It will power on. I do have the power cord for it. It will power on. However, it is very, very slow. And this is from about 2010, I believe, as well. And it has seen better days. All of these need some cleanup on them and all. It's big and it's nice and it's chunky. I mean, it's heavy duty. But yeah, I couldn't get any information off of this yet. This will be one of the things that I probably endeavor to clean up and take a look at and see if it's still any decent. You know, MacBook Pros, I'm not going to say they're worth a whole lot of money, but they could be worth a whole lot of money to the right person. So we'll just have to see how that goes. If I can get it cleaned up and working. Now, if I can get it working well and everything's good, then we'll see what happens. Heck, I might want to keep it for myself and use some Linux stuff on here. Couple things that I got that were not laptops or notebooks or anything like that or tablet related is I managed to pick up a couple of things here. An unmanaged switch, 8-port unmanaged switch, which would be great. That would be perfect for the house, except for one thing, nobody can find the power supply. The other thing about this is when I went to go try to look for a power supply online, some of these I can find power supplies for, and it's not too big of a deal, like the Lenovo. It will only cost me like 20 bucks to get the power adapter for that. Finding a power adapter for this thing is very, very difficult. And for instance, Amazon has a 90 watt that I can buy for this for twice the price of a brand new unit. What? Really? I can buy this brand new for $109. I can buy the power supply for it for $189. I don't know what planet that makes sense on, but I can't seem to be able to find a power supply that actually goes on here. And ones that say that they're rated for the same wattage or the same voltage and amperage in, or the same wattage. I've tried one or two of them and they don't fit. So yeah, we're good luck with that one. So we'll have to figure out what's going on. This would be perfect for what I need if I can find the power supply for it. And then finally, I've got what turns out to be an 8-port DVR. Well, not an 8-port DVR, but an 8-port WiseNet hub for cameras. I might have to see if I can make this work, and if I can't clean it up and make it work or find anything of use for it, or cameras or anything like that used for it, then I would have to, I guess, just scrap it and take the hard drive out of it. It's got a 2 terabyte hard drive, I believe. So we'll have to see what's going on. At least I got the power supply for this one, so that's a good thing. I'm not so sure looking at this if these are supposed to be powered over. It's got the BNC connector, but I don't know for sure. I'll have to take a look at that too. That might be one of the things I explore, because these are supposed to be, I'm not supposed to need an outside source of power for these. So I'll have to see what is carried through these BNC connectors when I start to explore this a little bit later. But anyway, that is that's the scrap haul. I guess you could call it the scrap haul from when I went to Ocala this past weekend. Fun stuff. A lot of it's going to be material that I will be able to do something with or a video on. Some of it will be some things I'll be tinkering with. Some of these you might see in future videos, or I might just, I don't know, it might be a troubleshooting thing or opening up or just cleaning the information off. Who knows? It should be pretty interesting. If it's content worth it, or if it's something decent that I can go ahead and turn into a video, I'll be glad to do that. But I did mention the box last time, and I did mention that I had a lot of stuff to look through, and I've started looking through some of it, and it's going to be fun. That's all I can say, is it's going to be fun. So don't forget, if you're not already subscribed, do like, subscribe, do all those YouTube things and all that stuff, especially if you want to end up seeing what happens with some of these, or if you have any one thing in particular you want me to take a look at first or second, or kind of prioritize, I can start to kind of play around with that or see what that is first. So don't be afraid to leave that in the comments. But the only other thing that I have to ask of you is the same thing I'm going to ask every single video, and that's just be nice to each other. It doesn't cost anything to be kind to somebody. You can, of course, this is a season where there's a lot of people that are going to be asking for donations for X, Y, and Z. Feel free if you can afford to do that. But if nothing else fails, just be nice to somebody. Hold the door open, smile, wave. Just if somebody says something, acknowledge them back. It's free. It doesn't cost anything, right? It makes you feel a little bit better. And if somebody does that for you, I'm sure that would make you feel a lot better. It'll make them feel better. and everybody's happy, right? And this is the kind of time that we probably just need to be a little bit nicer to each other. So that's it. I will explore and work my way through some of this stuff. I will try to see if I can open some of these things up and fix them, or see if there's something salvageable in them. But until the next time, when I start going through some of this stuff, I'll see you later.